Hello everyone, this is Nadim.
This is Lucy.
And you're watching CGTN. Tonight we are in Guangzhou, China's southern gateway to the world. And as we cruise down the Pearl River, we'll discuss culture, economy, and regional development in the Greater Bay Area. And with us is Mr. Guangzhou Wu, Assistant Professor of China Studies at Sun Yat-sen University. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to start with you, Lucy, first, and speak a little bit about today. It's the Mid-Autumn Festival. It started a couple of days ago, and as we see around us, there's plenty of people. And I was wondering, this is my first time, this week was my first time being in Guangzhou, and I was wondering, is there anything special about Guangzhou's celebrations for the Mid-Autumn Festival? Is it any different than the rest of the country?
Yes, we do. We do have some common things, just like the rest of the country, like having mooncakes, families get together. But we do have some special things that we do in the Cantonese area, such as stir-fry escargots,
okay.
And then
which is French for snails, just in case anyone's asking.
Yeah, and we do have seasonal fruits and vegetables like taro and grapefruit that we will have in this particular time. And for kids, they love to play paper lanterns. We made it and then we walk around with it to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. Yeah.
And what about you? How do you usually celebrate, Mr. Hu?
Actually, I'm not a very kind of authentic native Cantonese. I was born in Zhujiang and I moved to Guangzhou when I was a high school student. So usually, my family will still keep the Zhujiang tradition of celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival. So we will eat the mooncake, and then our family will will get together and eat dinner. And you know, my grandparents and my uncles, my nephews are all in Zhujiang. So we will have the WeChat reunion to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. So it's a new way, during the Ignite period. Yeah.
So let's just dig right into our topic and start with a little bit about Guangzhou. Guangzhou is known as a trade hub, from the as far back as one can remember, from the 7th century with the Tang Dynasty, and you had all these Arabic, Persian, Indian traders coming into China, and through Guangzhou being that point of contact between them and the rest of China. And then we see that this tradition of Guangzhou being a trade center has lived on from back in the olden days all the way to today with, we have the Canton Fair, and whenever you say Guangzhou, people think of trade. So I was wondering, what makes Guangzhou so special about trade?
Historically, Guangzhou has been a commercial hub for almost 2,000 years. Since the Qing Dynasty, the first dynasty in China, and so this tradition is kind of keep for 1,000 years. And but geographically, Guangzhou's location is actually very perfect, because people will think like Guangzhou is at the southern gate of China, so the southernest place in China. But actually, if you move the map a little bit upward, you will see Guangzhou is in the center of the connection between China and the Southeast Asia. And also it's on in the mid pathway from China to the India, and even go to the Africa.
So that impacted its position as a trade hub, how exactly?
Yes, and also because Guangzhou, to some degree, traditionally Guangzhou is kind of very far away from the capital in Beijing, usually in the North China. So the city will have a much more freedom environment for trade, and people here will also be more very inclusive to different culture, and also even in Qing Dynasty, the last dynasty in China, for a long time period, Guangzhou is the only port for for the dynasty to export the necessities from the foreign countries.
So what sort of exports are we talking about back in the day?
Today? Oh,
Back in the day, as in like in
the Qing dynasty?
when it was the only port.
Usually the China will export the silk, the silk, China, that's why China have this name. So usually back to that time period, China will export through Guangzhou kind of high-tech product back to that time period. So the boat, I mean the boat we are taking right now is kind of the name, the replica of a boat the archaeologists take from the underwater, which in that boat we find thousands of pieces of porcelain chinas and the silvers, the money, kind of the coin.
These were bound overseas. These were going.
Yeah, go outside, go to the overseas, go to Southeast Asia, and go to India.
And so fast forward thousands of years to today, what kind of exports are we seeing coming out of Guangzhou or Guangdong?
Now, you know, Guangzhou or even the Guangdong at large is the most important export hub in the world. You can see it. And now Guangdong export like the high-tech, the cell phone, the TV, all those. I mean, if you go to an American shopping mall or the grocery, you will find maybe the 30% or 50% of the products is from China. And more than half of them is from Guangdong. It's manufactured in Guangdong. Because Guangdong is the first, after 1978, when China implemented its opening up program, Guangdong is the first place to open its door to the world. And also because Guangdong is very close to Hong Kong, Guangdong can use the money, the human resource, and the connection, Hong Kong's commercial connection with the outside world to have more factories to be invested in Guangdong. And in a very famous professor in Harvard, Professor Vogel, he wrote a book, Canton One Step Ahead. So one step ahead than the other province in China.
So we're speaking about the role of Guangzhou here in trade, but Guangzhou is one of the 11 cities in the Greater Bay Area, this regional economic cluster that is taking shape right now in the southern part of China. Before we start talking about Guangzhou's role in that specific economic powerhouse, if you want, I just would like to know what your definition of the Greater Bay Area or the GBA, in your point of view, what is it?
The purpose or the goal of the Greater Bay Area is try to have a deep and a much better integration of all those 11 cities in the area. Because the different cities have their different individual advantages. So that's the reason why all those 11 cities can be combined together. And if we sum them up, the effect will be much better than the individual cities.
So why would China need a Greater Bay Area?
Because China is now entering into a crossroad. China is going to have much greater, further development. And because the globalization in the past 2 decades. So China wants to have more global. Greater Bay Area is such a very wonderful place to start this.
We're talking about what exactly? Are we speaking about China going from heavy manufacturing and infrastructure as drivers of the economy to more consumerism, high-tech innovation, or what exactly are we talking about here?
The Greater Bay Area is very comprehensive. It's include, we have the Hong Kong, which is the international financial hub, the center, and we have Shenzhen, which is now the rising technological innovation center, and we have Guangzhou is the commercial hub. It's going to be the world-class commercial hub. the city has its potential. And we also have Macau, which is the entertainment center. And that's a big, Macau is it's one of the largest entertainment center and the tourist destination in the world. And we also have the remaining cities like Foshan and Dongguan.
I mean, no one really speaks about these cities. It's usually, you know, all the stars are Hong Kong, Macau, Guangzhou.
Exactly. Yeah, but actually the cities surrounding Guangzhou, they're doing a really great supporting roles to this GBA project, I think. Because from my personal experience, I can see since the project has started, every city within this project, the connection got much tighter than before. Like we do have multiple newly built highways so that we can arrive, we can travel within an hour or so, which is very convenient. And there are more people in Guangzhou, and probably for the younger generations, will go to cities nearby, like Foshan or Zhuhai, for a better career or for a better quality of living. Yeah.
So we just mentioned Foshan a couple of times and Zhuhai. What do they have to bring to the table when it comes to the Greater Bay Area?
They are the manufacturing center. So because we cannot have factory in like Guangzhou, in Shenzhen, in Hong Kong, there are cities. In the cities, we develop the service, the third sector, the service industry. But in Foshan, Dongguan, and the other remaining the cities, we have much broader area, and their developmental aim is to have advanced manufacturing center become the center. So because of those cities, the whole Bay Area become an entity. You have the innovation center in Shenzhen. You can collect money in Hong Kong, and you can sell the products through Guangzhou. Then where the products from? They're from the remaining cities, like the Dongguan, like Foshan, and the people can also go to have entertainment in like Macau. So this is the complementary among the cities in the Bay Area. It's based on the different advantages of those cities. So that's one of the most important advantage of the Bay Area.
So this complementarity is indeed an advantage. How do you think this is going to reflect on each of these cities? So we've spoken about the importance of the Greater Bay Area to China, and how all of these cities, when they come together, they create this, you know, mega cluster, this economic powerhouse. But if we invert that relationship, what would a Greater Bay Area benefit individual cities?
Yeah, because, you know, for example, if an engineer, a very talented engineer in Shenzhen, he has an idea and he has a very good new technology, he needs money. He needs money to invest in his project. And then you can go to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is the world center to do fundraising. And the money is not only from Hong Kong, the local money. It's from the whole world. It's around the world. It can from the American, from the Europe, it can from Middle East, and can from everywhere. And then after you have money, the engineer can create a company and to invest, to expand his like the initial idea to become a product. And then you need the manufacturing center, the factory, to produce those products to become a real product. And then after you have the product, you need to the commercial people, the businessmen, to sell the product to the whole world. And you need then you have the Guangzhou. So in the Bay Area, you have a very friendly and healthy like the system, the ecology is very good. All those advantages.
mentioned something that was very important when she said, you know, she spoke a little bit about the infrastructure and how she saw, you know, that change in areas around Guangzhou. We're seeing a lot. We're seeing like a sort of an infrastructure rush around here. We're seeing railways being built. We're seeing bridges. You know, the Zhuhai, Macau, Hong Kong Bridge. I mean, that is an architectural marvel that was opened last year. So why is infrastructure that important for a greater Bay Area? I mean, eventually we do have planes, we do have ferries, but why, you know, go for a land-based sort of, you know, route?
I mean, you know, the Greater Bay Area program has been announced in February 2019. It has been over more than 1 year, and now we are doing the two most important things, which lay the foundation for the further development. The first thing is infrastructure, because we want to have a much deeper integrated area. So the first thing is the transportation infrastructure. The old, like the highway, the ferry, is just too slow. Since China have a very mature railway construction technology, it's very cheap to just build the intercity rail line to link different cities. And then we have the maybe 20 minutes at large. And then we are doing the second important thing is to build a technological innovation center achievement. Now Hong Kong has the most of famous Hong Kong universities. The university in Hong Kong is trying to open a new campus in the Bay Area. The Chinese University of Hong Kong has.
What's that? I mean, if you why would a university open another campus?
You know, people. So
to the shore, but before we end our live stream, I would like to ask an important question, or I'd like to think is important. We're speaking a lot about the advantages and the potential of the Greater Bay Area, but at the same time, I think it's interesting to also speak about the obstacles ahead. So if you could tell me a little bit, what could potentially be a stumbling block or a stone in the road for the Greater Bay Area?
Yes, I think the biggest obstacle is because the diversity of the Bay Area, the cities in the Bay Area. Hong Kong, Macau, and we have the two systems in this area.
The one country, two system, right?
One country, two system. And we have three tariff systems, Hong Kong, Macau, and mainland China. There will be a very big obstacle to the integration of the Bay Area. But it can also become the most important advantage for the Bay Area because the diversity created the advantage. Different cities can use their own individual advantages to have much better, to kind of have when you combine those differences, you can have a big development, a big advantage. For example, like Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is implement the British or the British American legal system, and so when the Bay Area is going to contact with the American and the England or the Canada, New Zealand, there are so many experts in Hong Kong, the law experts in Hong Kong, who can very fluent or very can deal with all those legal issues.
So it's a matter of talent here. So like trying to harness the local talent, despite perhaps some differences in the system or differences in the legal framework.
Yeah, it depends on how the people in Bay Area to coordinate, to have the disadvantage become the advantage, and to coordinate among different cities, to have them get together, to have them have their advantages to be play out, and rather than become a disadvantage to obstacle the development of Bay Area.
I also have one more question because it doesn't seem like we're stopping, but one very quick question. You've spoken about the individuality of each of these cities, 11 cities, and trying to harness and trying to leverage the unique strengths. But so cooperation is the name of the game in the Greater Bay Area. But I also wonder, we're seeing a lot of similarities in terms of development, local development plans. For example, in terms of Guangzhou, for example, is developing its airport, so it's trying to become this aviation hub on top of being a logistic hub. But then at the same time, you have Shenzhen and Hong Kong also developing their airport. We're seeing Shenzhen, investing and developing its financial system, and Hong Kong is this worldwide renowned finance hub. It's the same with what's happening in Zhujiang and Macau. I was just reading the other day how Wanda Group, one of the biggest conglomerates of entertainment in China, are investing in Zhujiang, which is the biggest city of all 11 cities in the Greater Bay Area, to try to develop some form of entertainment hub there. But then you have Macau as well as the entertainment center. And so I was wondering if these similarities would create competition down the line, and if you would see it as a disadvantage perhaps.
Competition is not a bad thing. Competition created development. Competition pushed people to be more diligent, to work hard. But the thing is, the degree of competition. If it's over competition, it's bad. If the competition is limited to certain degree, it's good. Also, Shenzhen is also trying to create a financial market, which maybe create some pressure on Hong Kong to be more focused, to further develop its own financial market. But the thing is that the financial market, the two cities try to develop is different. Shenzhen is much more focused on to be like a NASDAQ, to be more focused on helping the high-tech companies to raise money. But Hong Kong Financial Center, the Hang Seng Center, is much more focused on the companies which already have like a big size and already have a certain like scale to raise money, so which is different.
Okay. So with this, we come to the end of our live stream. Thank you so much, Mr. Hu, and thank you again, Lucy, for joining me on this cruise. And thank you, everyone, for watching CGTN. I will see you at another destination at another time. This is Nadim, and you're watching CGTN.